Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So, guess what's on tap for today? We're continuing our series of the POLITICON debates between Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks, who I like to basically affectionately call the Young Jerks, and Tomi Lahren. This is part 3 of the debates. They're talking about Trump, the border wall, immigration, Second Amendment, corporate cronyism, stock market, all the great stuff, folks. Great questions, great answers. We're going to get to that in the next few seconds, but before we do so, we just want to let you know you're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host for today. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel, hit that share button, like, share, and follow us. Notification bell as well. Put your comments down below. Let us know what you think. Let's get to part 3 of the POLITICON debates between Tomi and Ana.
Hold on, let me talk for 1 second because I'm going to ask you.
Do I get to finish my thought on the border?
I'm going to ask you a question that'll allow you to finish it. I'm going to allow you to finish it, but let me ask you it this way, because
I want to finish my point on San Ysidro.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll let you finish your point on San Ysidro, but then I want you to ask.
Filibustering is making it difficult.
I want you to answer the question that will give you an opportunity to do it, because my point that I made, the same question I asked her, which was, could a wall not be a solution to the Band-Aid, and then all of the other issues also be addressed at the same time? I want to give you a chance to answer about San Ysidro and talk about ports of entry, but I want to ask you if it's not possible to be making, is the Trump administration or people on the Republican side losing the ability to win their argument because they won't accept that some of the issues that the left feels need to be addressed. You feel the ports of entry need to be addressed. If she would agree to that, would then you agree that we need to worry about crime in making crime in Honduras and El Salvador?
I would like to discuss that. First of all, I want to talk about San Ysidro because what I'm saying is not anecdotal evidence. That port was closed for 5 hours because migrants during the invasion rushed it and they had to close it because it was a national security risk.
After it was closed. But Trump closed it, and that's how they reacted.
5 hours, Border Patrol had to close it.
Okay, so they closed it. So that means your reaction is to storm it, throw bottles, throw rocks, violence. That's your response because somebody closes the door, so you knock it down? Stupid, Ana. Very stupid.
I've been there. I stood there where these wonderful people were throwing rocks at our Border Patrol agents, and then they were all physically ramming a fence to knock it down. And then they stormed the port. And then it had to be closed for 5 hours, costing both sides a great deal economically. So I've been there. It's not anecdotal evidence. I've been there, and I've seen it. I've seen the rocks that were hurled at our Border Patrol agents, too, by these lovely immigrants looking for a better life. I've seen it firsthand. Also, if we're going to address problems in the country, we can address that because there are a lot of problems in these countries. And Makalinin spent a lot of time in those countries, which is a reason why you're things going down, because he did spend time in those nations. That was our outgoing secretary, did spend time there. You're also seeing Mexico, because of this president, cooperating and also saying, you're right, we need to put our troops on the border, we need to help you with your problem. That was also because President Trump decided to crack down. But when we're talking about crimes in these countries, how do you think these criminal organizations are largely funded beyond drugs? They're also funded by smuggling. So you're having immigrants who might be coming over here looking for a better life, paying a coyote or a smuggler thousands of dollars to come into the United States illegally. That is funding the criminal organizations that are ruining those countries. So if we're saying
smugglers are different from cartels and gangs.
So that's the really great thing. Smugglers are different from cartels and gangs. Again, Ana, okay, you are losing this argument big freaking time with some of the stupid, idiotic, moronic, retarded statements you're making, which I coin as simmer, S-I-M-R. That, let's differentiate between a gangster, a cartel member, and a coyote. Let's make a difference in terms of that.
So the cartels and gangs are the individuals that are carrying out acts of violence that's so brutal that these, and by the way, the mischaracterizations that you're guilty of right now is why people call you racist. I'm just telling you.
Because
right?
I was there?
Yeah, because
wasn't too long, losing the argument, boom. Throw that R word out there, racist, boom. Throw that B card out there, bigot, boom. Throw that, you're just, you hate immigrants, you hate brown people card out there, boom, you're a foe, boom, boom, boom. That's what it is. You lose the argument, hit it with the racist, hit it with the bigotry, hit it with everything else. That's what we're talking about. Unbelievable. Let's continue.
Because you're dehumanizing.
No,
you're dehumanizing.
I'm not
individuals
dehumanizing
who
anybody.
are fleeing crime in their country.
Why are they throwing rocks at our Border Patrol agents, Anna? That
are
is
you
my
going to
question.
let me finish now? Let me finish.
Let me ask.
Because I've been very calm considering the situation.
While you interrupt me,
but let me
very
ask this.
calm while you trampled over all of my time.
Would it be accurate to say that when Anna meets someone or speaks to someone who is a Trump supporter and that Trump supporter happens to espouse or display racist views, that Trump supporter that she's speaking to in that moment is not necessarily themselves a good representative of all Republicans? Would that be accurate?
Sure. Before we get to this question, Clay Aiken, okay, the stupidity that he's representing as being the moderator, first of all, he's putting himself way too much inside here. I don't want to hear all the filibustering from, Clay the idiot Aiken. But what he's saying is, oh, if you happen to meet a Republican or Trump supporter out there who just happens to have racist views, would that be better to say and think about that, he's not representative of all Trump voters and Republicans? Hey, Clay, you moronic hypocrite. What if I said, okay, what if there's a Democrat person, a progressive, a moderate person that I see out there, somebody, a hypocrite in Hollywood out there, a black person or a brown person or somebody, and he's a liberal or a leftist, and he espouses racist and bigoted views. Do I say that all liberals and progressives and moderates are all racist and bigots and homophobes and everything? Is that what I'm supposed to take part for this year? Clay, idiot.
Okay, so is it possible that your experience in San Ysidro at that one port of entry on that one day might not be an example of how all ports of entry are on all day?
I'm talking about when it had to be closed, because she was
I understand what you're talking about. It did. What you're saying is not inaccurate. It's true. It did. But is it fair to say that that is an example of what is happening at all ports of entry all of the time, or did it happen on the day that you were there?
It happened during the
day that
caravan.
It happened during the caravan, but
when
you were there.
So
that would be anecdotal, because that's an example of exactly something that happened while you were there, right?
But when she's referring to a specific incident, have you been to the border? Have you spent any time with our Border Patrol agents?
No.
Listen.
No, that's
I've lived in Los Angeles my entire life. I just want to make a quick note about something.
Whoop-de-doo.
For all the fear mongering that happens about immigrants and they're so dangerous and they're criminals and we need to look out. You're from South Dakota, which has a relatively small immigrant population. And you made a decision to move to Los Angeles, where 35% of the population consists of immigrants. Do you feel unsafe? Do you?
I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe with the border.
Because I grew up with these individuals, and these individuals have actually improved my life. They have given me a worldview that I.
Oh, so all the M13 gangs have improved your life. All the criminal element, all the drug lords, the Mexican drug lords, the cartel people, all those that are funneling all this thing into California, all the fentanyl coming over that's being distributed by majority of either black gangs or Latino gangs. Those are all enriched your life so much, Ana. Again, boy, I'll tell you what. This part of the debate, part 3, you are being absolutely crushed.
I wish you had, because they enrich this country in ways that I think
I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question.
And to blow them off as dangerous criminals constantly.
I'm not blowing them all off, Anna. What I'm saying is there's a difference between an immigrant and an illegal immigrant, number one.
And
there's a difference, number one.
Let me finish my point, because I just want to make one more point, and then you can go on. And then I can go on. I need to make one more point, and you can finally go on another filibuster. Listen, one of the other issues is, look, the wall, we have diverted money from the military. We've diverted money from disaster relief funds in order to build the wall.
To protect our border.
Build the wall. But here's the thing, it's not really gonna protect our border. I mean, if you look at nonpartisan studies on it, it indicates that it's gonna do nothing. It's a giant waste of taxpayer money when we're dealing with.
Now we're worried about wasting taxpayer money. We spent trillions of dollars in Afghanistan, trillions of dollars around the world, trillions of dollars on our own people ineffectively. But when a liberal or a leftist or a progressive starts to talk about government waste, hold on to your wallet, folks, and, you know, just realize, okay, that the lies and the verbal diarrhea are just about to start.
No health care. We're dealing with situations where people are becoming homeless because they can't afford housing. So we're going to divert all of our resources to that. Okay, fine. But then what do we do about the vast majority of migrants who come in by flying in, right? What do we do about that? Are you scared of them too?
Let's let you answer all.
It's another stupid thing. How many freaking migrants are flying into this country? Migrants are not flying into this country. The majority are being smuggled. That's just not true. Unless you're basically saying, you know, people that are coming here on tourist visas and they're migrants, you know, from the other, you know, from Europe, from sub-Saharan Africa, from the Middle East, from the Nordic countries, from the Baltic countries, from Russia, from Eastern Europe. If that's what you're talking about, migrants.
All of that, and then I want to use it to, and then I want to not come back to immigration and switch a little bit. But you finish and respond.
Illegal immigration is a threat, and all of the things that your wonderful Democratic Party wants to provide to people free of charge is not going to be possible if you have an open border.
They pay a lot in taxes. A lot. They pay $13 billion a year in Social Security taxes that they never get to take advantage of. They pay a ton of money in sales tax, a ton of money in state taxes. They even pay income taxes. And they never get to take advantage of the social safety net that other Americans get to take advantage of.
We just passed a bill.
Say that they're just coming in here and they're mooching is a lie.
Clay, I thought this was my answer, but it always turns into Anna's answer, doesn't it? A state of California, when you say they don't get to take advantage of, excuse me, $100 million a year we're now allocating to illegal immigrant health care, when you're right, we do have 50,000.
In the state of California.
In the state of California, we have 50,000 homeless people in LA County, and we're diverting $100 million to cover illegal immigrant health care. A problem. But when we're talking about the border, and when Washington bureaucrats and think tanks sit there and say, a wall is not going to help it, and then the people that work on the border say, no, I work on the border. If we had a physical barrier here, it would allow us to divert.
Well, she just gave you the wall, though. She
said it was a waste of money. She said we're diverting resources. It's a giant waste of money.
But that's the point that I was making. She just said, fine, build the wall. It's a waste of money. But build the wall. If you really think that that's the case, build the wall. So let's just for a second pretend we're building the wall. Let's build it.
You
got your wall. You got your wall, though. You got your wall. So you've got your wall, and it's cost billions of dollars. And now, what's that going to do to the economy? So let's switch a little bit. I mean, it's hard to transition up here on this stage because y'all could go at it for a while. Remember that thing I said about it being nice and sweet and everybody getting along? That was bullshit. Okay.
It is Politicon.
They did get along beautifully backstage, truly. Let's talk about the economy. Let me ask you first. The unemployment rate is the lowest it's been in quite a while. The general consensus, well, I can't say the general consensus, but polling numbers amongst Americans indicate that more believe that they're doing better now than they have in recent decades. Does this not help President Trump's argument that he has done a good job with the economy? I mean, I would imagine that there will be many who would say, well, he's reaping the benefits of President Obama's economy, but I doubt you'd say that, and I think regardless of what you believe, who's to credit for it, President Trump will probably get the credit for that. So is President Trump not responsible, or at least the Republicans in Congress and the House not responsible for an improvement in the stock market, an improvement in the unemployment rate?
So I'm going to rewind a little bit and talk about Obama and how he improved the economy, right?
Oh, God, here we go.
There might be some people on the left who don't like what I say here, but it's the truth. Obama did improve the economy for those at the top. And that improvement has continued for those at the top. And let me be specific. I think that the Trump administration took a problem and unfortunately made it worse. So the tax cuts for the wealthy, that's $2 trillion in tax cuts for the very top over the next 10 years. And that is going to defund things that this country needs so desperately, including improvements to our infrastructure, including, social safety net programs that us Americans, we've paid into. People like to say that it's nothing more than a handout. I don't know. I look at my taxes. I see how much of it goes toward those programs that I should be able to take advantage of at some point in the future. But nonetheless, look, if you look at statistics that actually matter, so yes, the unemployment rate is low. What is the quality of those jobs? What do they pay? Do they pay a living wage? Are they full-time jobs? Oftentimes, they're either temporary construction jobs or they don't pay good living wages. And so if you look at consumer debt today is higher than it was at the height of the last economic collapse. We're all going into more and more debt just to be able to provide for our families and to go to school. So there are other measures of the economy that I think, unfortunately, are being ignored. They were ignored in the Obama administration. They're certainly being ignored now. And we need to find ways to improve the economy for the working class, for the middle class, for individuals who actually put their sweat and their blood into making these companies successful.
So I'll agree with you in part on Obama's economy not being as great as the Democrats like to romanticize about it. But at the end of the day, the American people are doing well under this president. The unemployment rate is down. Workforce participation is up. Median household incomes is also up. It's gone up about $5,000.
Yes.
And that is crumbs to Nancy Pelosi, but it's not to average Americans. Under the Bush years, it was up $400. Under the Obama years, it was up $1,000. So being that it's up $5,000 under President Trump, it is an improvement for families, and that's raising wages. So when the Democrats and you say, no, people are actually struggling, they're actually are not. The incomes actually are going up. As much as people want to see, nobody's ever seeing their income go as much as they would like to have it see. But under this president, it is going up. So that, and I know you want to interrupt me, but I'm going to get to finish because you got to go on like a 3-minute diatribe there. So yes, the unemployment rate is down, workforce participation is up. We also have a president that is addressing a trade issue right now that both sides are wary about, but he's actually stepping up to address it, which many have put off because it's not politically usually favorable to address a trade war, or to engage in a trade war, to do what's necessary to get nations like China to play fair or at least meet us in the middle, have somewhat of a level playing field. This president is doing this. He's addressing these head on. And for the Democrats, when I see him on the stage to say everyone's doing horribly under this economy, it's just not true. As Clay mentioned, the American people are doing well under this economy, which is pretty great for a president. They said that they would collapse us into another recession. That has not been the case. I know much to the Democrats' dismay, who are cheering for a recession because they'd love to beat Donald Trump, but the economy is doing well under this president.
What exactly is it that he's...
Wait, can I please answer that or respond to that? I apologize. So, one of the things that I'm concerned about, and this is genuine concern, one measure that individuals look at in order to gauge our economic success is the stock market. And one of the things that people don't realize is that these stock prices are a house of cards, because after Trump gave these massive tax cuts to the wealthy, to these corporations, I mean, the corporate tax rate used to be 35%. He lowered it to 21%, but when you consider the effective corporate tax rate, it's much lower. That's why companies like Amazon, the most profitable corporation in America, got away with paying 0 in taxes last year. So what do they do with the money that they save from those tax cuts? Do they create jobs? Well, you would think, yeah, right? That's what we keep hearing Republicans say. But in reality, they bought shares of their own stocks, corporate stock buybacks. And so...
I just have to say something here. That some of the idiots in the crowd were clapping because what did they do with that extra money that they saved because of the tax cuts? They bought back their own stock in their own company. Eagles. Oh my God. Oh, that's so horrible. That's so evil. They bought stock in their own company. Let me give you a little here. Let me mansplain something to you, Anna, because you're simmering again. That's what you do. You buy back. It shows investors out there that you have what? Confidence in your company. And you're buying back a piece of your company. This is economics 101. Doesn't mean that there's always going to be artificial bubbles that create different sectors. It's happened throughout the history of the stock market. But it's the other thing that has made tremendous wealth for people. And by you saying that it's just the hoity-polloi people at the top, all these evil corporate people, they have a fiduciary responsibility to the stockholders, the majority of whom are also retail investors. They're investing in these companies themselves. And so when they see a company like Amazon or Apple or Tesla or whatever the companies out there, Exxon, and they're buying their stock back, that gives them confidence to say, hey, the company's putting their money where their mouth is. I want a piece of that as well. That's just economics 101. Anna's clearly has lost this. I mean, she just got clobbered on almost every question, every answer that she gave was just unbelievably, ridiculously made with no backup at all.
Those stock prices are not based on consumers stimulating the economy. They're based on corporate CEOs and executives buying shares of their own stock and artificially inflating the value. It's based on a house of cards, and we should be worried about that bubble right now.
Are you able to rebut the argument that the tax cuts that were passed by President Trump and the Republican Senate and House were effective in improving the lives of the middle class?
It was a tax cut for 80% of Americans, so yes. And I know that that's something the Democrats don't like to talk about.
But tax cuts help us. Tax cuts put people back.
Let's be respectful,
We've done really
guys.
well without booing so far, so let's not start that crap.
People boo a tax cut. It's amazing to me. You're welcome to pay more.
But well, let me ask you about that.
You're welcome to.
Well, let me ask you about that.
No one's making you send that check. You can send it yourself. You can donate your entire income to the government.
Listen, if you start heckling them, I'm going to let them heckle you back, so don't heckle them. The tax cuts, I guess, I'm showing my stripes here, but I hear a lot of people talk about make America great again, and there's an argument that we don't build as much as we did. Our roads are not as good as they used to be, etc. But if you look back at periods in our country's history when we were investing in infrastructure and we were investing in what some might call social handouts, but others might call social safety nets, which we all appreciate, like Social Security, Medicare. We had tax rates that were far, far higher. Is there a danger that I'm
just going to stop that right here. We'll continue on. So in this episode, as I was basically saying here, folks, wow. Tomi Lahren completely demolished Ana Kasparian. And Ana basically gave basically gave, as in her answers, the ammunition that was needed to basically, crush her. And I made my comments based on the comments that were the narrative that, the spin that Anna was, if that's what she's thinking about. I mean, in every aspect, in the Second Amendment, it's the guns that's the problem that's causing the violence down there. That's the thing. Oh, it's the tax cuts. It just went to the upper few. The top 1%. It didn't do anything, which is completely not true. Completely not true. As Tomi countered and said, it went to 80% of the people that are paying the taxes. They got a tax cut. Wages up $5,000. Median household wages up $5,000 from Obama's $1,000. And then the thing about the stock market, individual investors, retail investors, everyday, average, ordinary Americans, where are they going to put their money in? They're putting it into the stock market. And then she goes on to say, what? That because they're buying back their stock, that's evil, that's bad? That's showing that, you're not doing you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. As I said before, fiduciary responsibility for these companies to buy back their stocks. And yes, they buy it low, and they know that they're going to continue to grow, continue to manufacture, continue to increase jobs, continue to increase wages. It's going to increase their stock prices, thereby increase the value of their company, thereby people that invest are going to get a return on that investment. That's what happens. I mean, Anna, you just absolutely got demolished here. Demolished in part 3. That's all I can say. A huge win for Tomi Lahren. Huge. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host here. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel, like, share, and follow us. Let your friends know about us. Put your comments below. Let us know what you think. And I'll end it with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.